Most people think that once a vegetable hits the trash can, its life is over. They've been told for decades that if you want to grow food, you need to go to a big box store and buy a packet of seeds that may or may not even be fertile. They're wrong. The very things you're throwing away right now are not waste. They are biological blueprints waiting for a signal. They never told you this about your kitchen scraps, but that wilted celery base, that sprouted potato, that knobby, dried-out ginger root that looks like a fossil, they are more resilient than the pampered starts you pay $12 for at a nursery. The real reason your plants failed in the past is not because you lack a green thumb. It's because you were working with a system designed for dependency. Today I'm going to show you 25 specific pieces of trash that can rebuild your food sovereignty for $0. By the end of this video, you won't see a bin full of peelings. You'll see a warehouse of potential. And I'll show you the traditional method nobody uses anymore that can turn a single grocery store ginger root into a 5-pound harvest by October. I was standing at my kitchen table last Tuesday, just staring at the pile of vegetable ends from dinner, bin open, ready to sweep it all in. And it just hit me. 200 years ago, we wouldn't be throwing this out. We would be guarding it. It felt ridiculous, standing there with a handful of onion bottoms, realizing I was literally throwing away a future meal because I'd been trained to think of food as something you only get from a shelf. I put the scraps down, and I went and got my shovel. Before I go any further, let me explain something. When you place a scrap in water or soil, something specific happens in the zone immediately surrounding it. The most intense microbial activity on Earth occurs in what soil scientists call the rhizosphere, a living community of bacteria, fungi, nematodes, and organisms that coordinate around a plant's root system like a city responding to a hiring signal. Modern analogy? A plant broadcasts underground that it needs specialized workers, and the soil ecosystem sends them immediately. Here's the part nobody in mainstream gardening content says out loud. Your kitchen scraps are already primed with the sugars those microbes want. When you plant a scrap, the hiring signal goes out at full volume. The soil responds faster than it would for a nursery start. You are not fighting the system. You are cooperating with biology that was designed to do exactly this. The reason this matters here is that everything on this list works for the same underlying reason. You are not performing a miracle. You are triggering a mechanism that was always there. The water regrowers. These require nothing but a shallow dish, water, and light. You can start tonight. Green onions. Cut down to the white root base, an inch, maybe 2. Place roots down in a glass with just enough water to cover the roots. Set near a window. Within 3 days, new green shoots push upward. But here's what most people get wrong. A glass of stagnant water is a science fair project, not a garden. Change the water every 2 days. The real mechanism is the root plate. Leave 2 inches of white base and eventually transfer it to living soil, not just water. And the plant doesn't just regrow. It establishes a permanent colony. One bunch from the store becomes an essentially permanent herb station. Celery. Cut the base off. That 2-inch disc you were about to discard. Look at the spiral in the center. That is a concentrated node of growth hormones. Place cut side up in a shallow bowl of warm water. Change the water every other day. Within a week, small pale green leaves push from the center. Within 2 weeks, transplant to soil. You will not grow a full grocery store celery. You will grow enough celery for cooking indefinitely from something that was heading into the bin. Romaine lettuce. Same method as celery. Cut the base, place cut side up in water, wait. The outer leaves will brown. Ignore them. The center regenerates. Transplant to soil after 2 weeks. Works with butter lettuce and cause varieties. Bok choy. One of the fastest water regrowers on this list. Roots in 48 hours. The regrowth is tender and excellent. Transplant to soil for a full second harvest. Fennel. The fennel bulb base regrows exactly like celery. The fronds that emerge first are fully edible and more intensely flavored than anything the store sells you. Most people have never tasted truly fresh fennel fronds. You will understand what you have been missing. Leeks. The root end regrows exactly like green onions. Cut to 2 inches, water, light. New green growth within days. The part you paid for keeps paying. Beet tops and turnip tops. Cut the top inch off a beet or turnip, place cut side down in shallow water. You are not regrowing the root, you are growing the greens. Nutritious, mild, excellent in everything from something you were discarding without a second thought. The soil regrowers. These need a pot and some compost, that is all. The potato. Stop what you're doing for a second, because this is the part that should make you angry. We have been taught that a sprouted potato is a sign of decay. Grocery stores want you to throw them out so you buy more. Those eyes are not decay. They are the most aggressive growth points in the entire garden. If you have a potato with 3 eyes, you do not have one plant. You have 3 potential hills of food. Cut the potato into sections, 1 eye per section minimum. Let cut surfaces dry for 24 to 48 hours to prevent rot. Plant 4 inches deep in a container with good drainage. As the plant grows, keep mounding soil up around the stem. You are building a potato tower. Harvest when the foliage yellows and dies back. Sweet potatoes produce slips, not direct plantings. Place the sweet potato half submerged in water using toothpicks to suspend it. In 2 to 3 weeks, shoots called slips emerge from the skin. Twist them off at 4 to 5 inches. Root the slips in water. Plant when roots are established. This is not complicated. It is just a step most people skip because nobody showed them. Ginger. This is the impossible reveal. Go to the store. Buy the knobby, dried-out ginger root that looks like a fossil. 50 cents. Cut it into sections, each with at least 1 visible bud. Let the cut surfaces dry for 24 hours. This prevents rot. Plant shallow in moist potting mix. Bud side up with the top of the rhizome just below the surface. Keep warm. Keep moist. Do not overwater. I buried mine in October under a layer of mulch. In July, my neighbor's beds were bone dry. Mine? Lush, green, soil damp 6 inches down. I stopped watering entirely in July. The ginger didn't care. In 8 to 12 months, you pull the whole root system and you have more ginger than you bought. Every piece multiplies. This is not a gardening trick. This is a food system. Turmeric. Identical method to ginger. Slower to emerge. Be patient. The plant is beautiful when it grows, tropical and architectural. Fresh turmeric is a different substance entirely from the powder in a jar. Plant it once, and you will never buy it again. Garlic. That green shoot pushing out of your old garlic clove is not a sign of spoilage. That is a biological weapon against soil pathogens. When you plant grocery store garlic, you are not just growing an ingredient. You are installing a defense system for your entire bed. Push the clove into soil, root end down, shoot end up, 2 inches deep. Keep moist. In a few weeks, you have garlic greens, fully edible, milder than mature garlic, useful in everything. With enough time, it develops into a full head. I spent years buying expensive seed garlic when the organic bulbs from the market were sitting right there. Is the gardening industry ignoring this deliberately? Tell me your experience below. Are you growing in raised beds or directly in the ground right now? Drop it below so I can see what we're working with. Onions. The onion root disc, that dried base at the bottom of every onion you have ever cut, can be planted directly in soil, root side down. It will not regrow a full onion. It will regrow green onion tops indefinitely. Cut the root disc, plant it, water lightly, place in light. Green shoots within a week. The herbs. Most fresh herbs will root from a cutting placed in water. This is how commercial propagation works. You can do it on your windowsill. Basil. 4 to 6 inch stem cut just below a leaf node. Remove lower leaves. Water. Bright indirect light. Roots within 1 to 2 weeks. Pot up when roots reach an inch. Faster than seed. 1 grocery store bunch becomes 12 plants before summer ends. Mint. Same method. Mint roots so aggressively you will have more plants than you know what to do with inside a month. Mint in a glass of water on a kitchen windowsill is one of the most useful things in a home kitchen. Lemongrass. Place the stalk base in a glass of water. Roots within 2 weeks. Pot into soil once established. Lemongrass grows fast, looks architectural, flavors everything beautifully. Most people pay $4 a stalk. You pay that once. Rosemary, thyme, oregano. All root readily from cuttings. Strip the lower inch of leaves, place in water, wait 2 weeks. Pot up, grow indefinitely. The overlooked one. Pineapple. This is the ultimate test of patience, and the most misunderstood scrap on this list. Most gardeners believe you need to water deeply and consistently for a tropical scrap to take root. That's wrong. Over-consistent surface irrigation is exactly why most pineapple tops rot before they ever establish. The mechanism I found in traditional tropical farming uses a completely different principle. Neglect. Twist the crown off. Strip the lower leaves to expose an inch of bare stem. Let it sit on your counter for 3 days until the wound calluses over. Then plant in well-draining soil. Keep barely moist for the first month. In 18 months to 2 years, a new pineapple will form. This is a long game, but it starts tonight with the crown you are about to throw in the compost. If you want to see the specific moisture ratios I use to make sure mine never rot, type water below. I want to see which camp you're in. Are you a hovering gardener who overwaters? Or are you ready to trust the plant? The deeper I get into this, the more unsettled I become. I used to think of my kitchen scraps as a waste problem. Now I see them differently. Every square foot of productive garden you grow from trash is one less square foot of dependence on a supply chain that has already proven it will fail you. That is not a spiritual claim. That is arithmetic. And this is the part the gardening product industry has spent decades hoping you would not figure out. Because the moment you do, you stop buying what they're selling. I know you might be doing something else right now. Stop for 30 seconds. Because this is the part most kitchen gardening videos never reach. The compounding effect. Every scrap you regrow is a node in a system that builds on itself. The green onions produce seed. The ginger multiplies. The herb cuttings turn one plant into 12. The garlic clove becomes a bulb that splits into 8 cloves you plant next season. This is not a hobby with diminishing returns. This is a system with accelerating returns, if you let it compound. A family that understood this fully, that acted on it consistently, would reduce their fresh produce expenditure by 60 to 70% within 2 years. Not through sacrifice, through reclaiming knowledge that was removed from ordinary life within living memory. The gardeners who actually achieve food sovereignty are not the ones with the most space. They are the ones who finally understand the mechanism. You now understand the mechanism. Which of these 25 scraps do you have in your kitchen right now that you were about to throw away? Drop your number below. I want to see how much food this community is about to reclaim. And here's the third question. Has anyone here had a total crop failure that turned into the best thing that ever happened to your garden? Drop the full story below. I read every single one. Here is what you do tonight. 1 sprouted onion, 1 scrap of ginger, 1 celery base. Whatever is in your kitchen right now. Do not put it in the bin. Put it in a glass of water on your windowsill. That is the entry point. Not the garden center, not a new bag of soil, not the weekend. Tonight. Because the gardeners who transform their relationship with food do not wait for the right setup. They start with a glass of water on a Tuesday evening and let the system build from there. There is one more thing. I almost wish I hadn't found out how easy this was. Because once you see the biological wealth in a pile of kitchen scraps, you cannot go back to the version of the world where the grocery store feels like the only option. You are stuck with this knowledge now, just like I am. You are not someone who throws food away. You are someone who now understands exactly what you are throwing away and exactly why the system needed you not to know. That is not a small thing. Most people never get here. Now that you understand how to grow from scraps, you need to understand what is happening in the 6 inches of soil beneath your plants. Because the glass of water works. The pot on the windowsill works. But if you want to take this to the ground, to build a system that actually feeds you through a drought, you need to understand the soil mechanism nobody in mainstream gardening content talks about. There's a traditional soil preparation technique used in pre-colonial West Africa that researchers are now studying specifically for its effect on microbial diversity. I am 30 days into a personal trial in my own clay soil. The results were different enough from what I expected that I started a whole new log. That video is right here. This channel is not for people who want the comfortable version of gardening. It is for people serious enough about their land to understand why things work, not just what to do. If that is you, subscribe. We go this deep every single week. Next week, I am running a side-by-side comparison of grocery scrap beds versus premium nursery starts through a full drought period. Tell me below what measurement you think I should track. I am building the protocol from your suggestions.